I did it off camera just for a second.
You can turn your camera off, I believe. But do whatever you like. Hello, everyone. So we're with the Venus Project UK supporters. We're doing our educational thing. This week we did TROM 2.11, food and water. This is like a half-an-hour video, so we only did this one section, and I don't know. We'll see how long we want to discuss about it. There's a lot of cool gadgets and stuff. But then I don't know. Maybe we can expand it onto other realms if we have time. Let's just finish off agenda.
Okay, so I guess for time conservation, while Aiden is preoccupied, does anybody wish to share their views, perhaps, on the footage of TROM?
I was thinking earlier, it doesn't make sense that we pay for food and water when we need them to survive because we don't pay for oxygen. And is it because oxygen's abundant, or and I forgot what the other part of the question. Is it because oxygen's abundant, or that we need it to survive that we don't pay for it?
It's kind of like that, isn't it? It's sort of like, where do you draw the line? Are we going to draw the line on oxygen, or like atoms or something? You get charged per atom in your body.
Well, okay. The way I see, they haven't. Well, we'll start off with they have started selling oxygen. In some, like, you've all seen the thing in China with the cans of oxygen. Oh my god. So they can start doing it, and they can start doing it there because they've actually somehow managed to get a scarcity of oxygen, going with all the pollution. Although we did have it here years ago, we just didn't have the technology to can it and sell it. So like, the means are there now. And the reason we haven't been able to do it so much in the past is because it's been so wildly abundant that like any sort of enforcement of like breathing without permission would be impossible.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say you can't breathe. You know what I mean? And like, so they didn't have the technology to either like make a place. I was trying to explain this.
You can't do it without killing
they can't. There's no point having a can of oxygen if there's oxygen everywhere.
Yeah. Whereas food and water is kind of scarce. Because there is control.
Well, food and water is less abundant than oxygen, or has been, and it's been easier to control the mechanisms of delivery.
So does anybody think urban farming and is guerrilla farming? Is that the right way you should
vertical farming.
Yeah, vertical farming. No, that's what I
think. Me, because like, I remember like turning around to my girlfriend like years ago and saying like, no, but skyscrapers and stuff like that. But yeah, they've actually. My idea was obviously like, energy and have your like lights and stuff like that. Which should obviously cost a lot more energy, take a lot more energy. What they plan is like. So yeah. But to see that guy throwing away all that bread.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That was outrageous.
But then isn't that essentially just everything that what we noticed? What is it? The statistic, I don't know, again, it's pretty overplayed and I'm not sure how accurate it is anymore, but it was said that a third of the world's food is just completely scrapped. Yeah. So again, you know what I mean? And then that footage from the website which says, hate waste, love food.
Yeah.
You know, it just tells you literally just how to essentially mash up your food and shit, you know, and it's awesome. You just use the scraps and make whatever it is, nice stuff.
Well, also, like, somebody was telling me, I don't know whether it's true, but most of the food is imported from the poor countries where people starve. Like, and I was thinking like Ethiopia.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of that in the supermarket.
And then we go and throw it away.
hmm Like, basically, the old imperial powers like turned these countries into export machines, and basically paid them nothing, and you're trying to get them back onto a level playing field when it's already skewed. So it's just like it's very hard to get back to it and get out of this export business.
Also, I go on, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've just seen a video of somebody walking to a McDonald's in Argentina or Chile or somewhere, and he just walked in, told somebody who was having some fries, grabbed the fries and walked out. I think it was all in Spanish or whatever it is, and I think he said something along the lines of bypassing the system, but it was pretty fun. I liked it.
So what was it? What was the thesis behind him walking into the McDonald's? Sorry, I missed it.
He was just saying, why don't we just bypass this fucking stupid system and just take our food?
Right.
That's the way you're going to get out of a monetary system, is everyone agreeing to just bypass it. Other than that,
There's an awesome Facebook group that I'd recommend you all follow if you don't already. Food is Free Project.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe you follow it, Mick. I think it's in that. But can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. They talk about planting food and agriculture and stuff like that, but finding spaces within public spaces to just plant food so that it grows naturally. And then aside from that, whenever you're or if you are growing food, whenever you're doing your saplings and stuff like that, to make extra and to always keep your seeds so that you have the availability to do that. Then whenever you do, just give it away. And these guys, I think the Toronto or Colorado base, something like that, is seems to be doing really well at it. They seem to be getting a good response from it. It's easy to give away food, clearly. So like even simple things like that people are growing in their backyard, and then they just put out in their front yard with a sign for this is free, help yourself, and it always gets taken. And you know, it's a cool concept, and it's something the way that you can implement it in your own personal level as well. You know, as you say, bypassing the system. Except the problem with that example is that it was McDonald's made the fries in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just curious, Kent. So was it by any chance the two middle-aged married folks that basically started this off? Because you mentioned American. I remember specifically there were a middle-aged married couple who basically got, well, essentially, yeah, arrested by police because they were growing shit on their front yard. And they were like, well, this is essentially vandalism, you know, you can't do this stuff on your front lawn. It's like, well, it's my fucking lawn first, you know what I mean? And it's not harming anybody. But besides the point, they got outraged and they started a petition, and the petition sort of got a little bit out of hand, and more people flooded in. And now they're doing kind of, I can essentially see the more or less the same concept of what you just said. So I'm just curious if that's where it stems from, or it's just.
I don't think it does stem from that, but I think it stems from that same culture.
Sure.
Where people have taken up to growing their own food and have latched on to the idea, either through this project or just through their own train of thought. But yeah, they promote that. They promote using your garden space as growing space and stuff like that. I imagine these people. I did hear that story that you're talking about, and I've seen all the noise about it on the internet. But I imagine then people would be similarly involved.
Sure.
But I don't think it is specifically them.
Cool. Sounds equally just as all right.
Yeah, it's a good concept if you own your own property and stuff like that, because I just put up this here this little tiny polygon. It was like 2.5 meters by 2 meters, and I had the landlord around the other day, and I was nervous whether or not he was going to be annoyed about it. So if I was to plough the whole back garden and plant corn in it, I don't know what he'd think about that either. You know.
It's a good start though. It's cool. Nice.
Yeah, it's working. you want me? Do you want to see in?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
See what's going on? So I just like kind of got it properly running, and like 2.5 months ago.
Holy shit.
So tomato plant, pea plant. I've got some peas coming through. I don't know if you can see these little guys. Some baby plants, radish, onions, garlics, carrots,
What's it
strawberries.
like in there for slugs? Yeah.
What's that?
What's it like in there for slugs? Do you have much problem with slugs?
It's pretty sluggy actually. If you can offer me any advice, I'd be interested to take it. But
No, I was hoping for a solution myself.
The slugs, coffee beans.
yeah, coffee granules. I've heard that one actually. So I'm going to try to get it round the edge of it because it's on water, obviously, and it gets sucked down and stuff like that. So I don't really. Coffee beans are supposed to be good nutrients as well, so I don't think it's a problem. But I think they'll just filter through the system pretty quickly. So all the advice I've got is from traditional growing methods. I haven't really seen much about it on aquaponics yet, but I can figure it out.
I didn't mean coffee granules like in the system. I meant like circle your tent or your gazebo or whatever it is.
Yeah, right outside, so they don't even get in the first place.
Or like the feet, or anything that like contacts the floor. If you got like table legs.
Yeah, right.
Get the table legs and they won't be able to go up.
That's actually probably the best idea. Yeah. That's a good shout. I'm going to try that out. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome because it's like it is like bypassing the system from a grassroots level, you know, really. Well, literally grassroots level, you know.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
So,
But
I hope we go this way.
the thing is, I think that like I'm learning this, and I know Mick's learning this type of thing as well, and Aiden's learning this as well, and I'm sure them guys will agree that there's a lot to learn. It's really difficult, and you got to make a lot of mistakes, but you got to accept that you're going to make a lot of mistakes in order to learn. But I think that, and we talked about this the last time actually, Mike. I think that if it was something that was more normal to us, and on a, we learned it from the ground up, like as Mick was saying the last time, in school level and stuff like that, and it became normal to us and part of our culture. Well, then it's something that we could do pretty easily if we didn't have to adapt to it. The adapting is the difficult part, but I think once you get everything in place, it's very achievable.
Yeah, I think like some people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I don't think that's at all correct. But I think in a way it's harder to learn.
It takes longer to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, that's the one.
Good stuff that we're not dealing with dogs, right?
That's true.
But yeah, so like...
there was something I was wondering, at my college there's a urinal, and there's a sign on it that says this urinal saves so much percentage of water every year, and then it has like stickers saying help the environment and things like that. And I'm wondering if that at all helps in any environmental issue or sociological issue in saving water, because the way I see it, it's not that there's a lack of water, there's a lack of efficient means of distributing the water we have equally and to people on demand, like fountains in public and things like that. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's, to me, seemed like bullshit. It seemed like they were just trying to pat their own backs kind of thing.
Yeah, just sell a product, and not just that. I'm sure, can they use grey water for that? Is it grey water? Like, just they could collect rainwater and just save pumping fresh water through urinal if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
My cynical view of it is the same with like the green recycling bins. So it's like it's pacifying people's needs to try and be sustainable. And like easy way out, like, oh, you're already doing this stuff. Oh, really doesn't work.
My part because I pissed in the urinal that saves water.
Man, honestly, this is where I think some ideas from fiction can actually go a long way.
Yeah.
I just downloaded SimCity, the latest edition, and in there, the latest sort of part of how garbage is collected, they just call it the garbage atomizer, and it just fucking disperses all the garbage into atoms. I mean, yeah, fine, it's fiction, whatever, but I mean, Jesus, isn't it fucking possible? People are building even crazier things right now, and
that's really not far away. I see that as an integral part of nanotechnology's development.
Right. Thanks.
Like, is the deconstruction of these things back into like particles. I don't exactly know where the technology is on that, but
right.
they'll be right alongside.
Yeah, it's totally possible. It's just not possible yet. That's all.
I think it's a matter of like where people find the resources. Do you know what I mean? If we're like spending resources on building like football stadiums like we're just wasting our time. Whereas if we were to actually have a look at this logical view on the world and stuff like this, would be paramount. Potentially present moment in time. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy football as a game. Like, I want football to
Ads. Sorry, ads. Some of the time I really can't hear you. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yeah, I'm getting it as well. I thought it was my Wi-Fi, but if you're getting
it. Is that better? I mean, I'm.
It's just like crackling up. It's
right.
On a couple of different people, not just you.
Oh.
But yeah, anyway, like, so, like, if you I don't have any problem with, like, sport and everything like that. I think it's great. Sport's really good for you, obviously. But, in a world where, we've got bigger things to think about at the present moment in time, then, I mean, look at the legacy that the Olympics left. Well, what, like a rusty stadium that hardly anybody would use it? It's never going to be filled to that capacity again, It's, crazy, and all the stuff that they happened at the start and the opening ceremony and stuff like that, and you saw it on pictures of the news or just rusting away, and it's like, so great, well done guys, you built that for one night, and now it's just going to sit there and dilapidate. Great.
Wait. So is that actually true? Because I'm just curious. I mean, it's one thing to sort of be skeptical, but is what you're saying literally? So like, for another however many decades will pass until UK holds the Olympics, if they will. So it's not in use?
What happened was, I mean, the stadiums will obviously be used for other events.
Right.
They're massive stadiums, so I can't envisage them being ever like as full as they were. But the actual stuff that they created for the opening ceremony, all the props that they used for the opening ceremony, that was actually like a big thing in the news like a while ago, wasn't it? Like our Olympic legacy or whatever they said, and it was all just sat there rusting away. And it's like, yeah, we used that, and we can't. We created all this stuff and left it there to rust. Yeah, we can't sort out food and water.
Yeah.
Time,
We have the stepped value system. I think if somehow we could change global society's value system overnight, we would naturally arrive a resource-based economy. If the values fit. So if we wanted to provide for everyone on Earth, and we wanted to provide a sustainable environment, then we would naturally come to a resource-based economy. And it's been known to be also called a natural economy or something like that. Natural, yeah. Because I mean, the reason that we spend so much money on sports and military and not hardly like any on feeding people and housing people, it's based on the values. Really, it's because people value destruction and egotistical gain more than the welfare of the fellow man. So there's two sides to it. It's like we can build infrastructure that supplies people food and then outdo the military system that way by creating an abundance, or it could be also value shift. So if people's values were to somehow change, that would encourage the bring around of mechanisms of abundance that so the play off each other kind of thing is my input.
I think as well, like I said this before about the community level, like if the community if the community is like friendly and all reciprocal altruism, like just helping each other out where they can, paying it forward. I think, especially if you've got different skills in that community and you start finding them out, then we can slowly like bypass the system by getting everybody on the same boat, like saying, look, I'm growing my own stuff. There's a couple of guys up the street growing their own stuff. Who's collecting the rainwater? Can we start producing energy? You know what I mean? So it's like, and I was saying this to one of my friends the other day because, like, I'm always trying to convince her about like resource-based economy, and I said the reason we don't have community is because we're scared, we're afraid of knocking on somebody's door and asking for help or offering something. You know what I mean? Whereas just that one offer of help or asking for help, it leads on to other things. Like you get talking about anything, and I mean, like me about a year ago when I just used to get wrecked and have parties, I didn't dare talk to the neighbours because I knew they'd be like pretty angry with loud music, etc. And I think they pretty much hated me. But now I talk to all my neighbours, and they're all like fucking brilliant people. Like offered to help me, lend me lawnmowers and jet washing and shit like that, and no charge at all, just free stuff. So
Yeah, I think that's a good point about community. Like, really, like, because I think, you know, with the way that the media is and everything, it spouts all this, like, oh my God, everyone, like, the guy who knocks on your door and genuinely wants to borrow a cup of sugars, genuinely, you know, is probably going to kill your family or something stupid like that. It's really, like, broken down the community as a whole. And I think, like, what you're saying there about sharing tools that are necessary. You know, like, we don't need this. I mean, the economy's really not going to like it, but we don't need all this. Everybody has to have a lawnmower so that, you know, you can use it 10 times a year and that's it, and then the rest of the time it just hangs there. You know, these sort of things, once you get a concept of community going again, and that circle starts flowing again, like it used to, like, then, you know, we can start to bypass the system more again.
and like the jet wash I was letting, the one of the ends of the hose wasn't ready to go on the tap. I needed it connected, so I just went and bought one and thought, well, leave it on the hose, give it in back, and then whoever uses it after has got to connect it. You know what I mean? What, like £1.50 or something like that. So I think in the end everybody wins.
Well, I think that our technical development is kind of naturally leading us towards that a little bit as well. Like if we take to like communal ownership of stuff, like if we take self-driving cars, just as that's the main the main example of autonomous production item. Like whenever we get automated cars in, it's going to be logical, and people are going to do this because they're going to realize how much, especially when first money is tighter as it is, and it's only going to continue to get. The mixed ownership, people are going to realize, hold on a second, we have the ability to send this tool off to do something else for somebody else, but still be there for me whenever I need it, and it can all be scheduled and stuff like that. I'm going to be at work 9 hours out of the day, so I'm not going to need the car, but it means that I can go in, I can split the cost of the car between me and 8 other people. You know, so I think that's going to be a big teller as to just how what I foresee to be the way it will inevitably work out. Well, it'll show how much that nature is truly in society. I don't think people have a choice whenever you get down to the lower classes, to be honest with you. If they're going to make use of this technology, it's going to have to be on a group basis, on a community basis. Otherwise, it just won't be affordable.
I think, say automatic cars, I see it going slightly different. It's still like a form of shared ownership. I see like Netflix for cars. You pay like £5 a month or £10 a month or something, and
yeah,
you get
it comes like public transport.
No, well, they've actually got the kind of that car sort of subscription scheme in places like Sweden and that already, where you'll just book in a car for a certain journey or whatever, and you'll drop it off at the nearest depot, and likewise, somebody else can use the car. So it's just like a communal car thing, share, which is a good idea. Like that's. Yeah, that's how I think. Those ideas need to expand. I think obviously they are against the consumerist society, which is going to take a lot of pushing against the grain, but you can get them.
Well, renting is a market, and it is still out there, and people can make their precious money off it. The thing that I like about renting, rather than say people going in to buy a car together, is that you don't own the thing. Therefore, the onus is on the manufacturer to make a thing that lasts and works.
Yeah. Jack says that. Jack uses the telephone companies, or the old school telephone companies. That was great when it was going on about that. It just made perfect sense.
Yeah. There's this really cool video actually called on YouTube. It's called The Circular Economy, and I think it is anyway. And basically, yeah, it talks about the benefits of renting over ownership it doesn't really go on to the whole thing, but it does just talk about how if we rented stuff, we'd have all these pressures to make things better and all that stuff. It's a short one. I'll try and find it quickly.
Something else that I don't know if you guys have thought of this, but just ironically as well, because sorry. That's cool.
I just 7-8 something.
Just in the beginning, we were talking with Aiden about Carl Sagan and how I started reading the 12th chapter about baloney detection kit, and in one of them, it's an argument of long-term versus short-term, and it seems more than important because numerous documentaries refer to the same thing, which is bankers. The only reason why what AKA we call, gamble with our money is because of the short-term returns. Nobody gives a shit about taking care of what in the book the example was given, why take care of the malnourished parts of the society or the world and make sure that preschool has, great education. We have to take care of the crimes on the streets now, right? So again, it's the same stuff. Like, fine, you'll take care of the crime now with the money that could have been spent in areas where kids are going to basically grow up with what Kane has suggested with this, from the bottom up. You literally are rising in a community where agriculture is just in you. That's it. And you would, in certain sci-fi films, kind of make it seem like the human species really are fucking retarded. Let's say another being comes down here and they know everything. Their fucking position in the Milky Way. They know the galactical position of their own solar system. They know the moons. They know exactly why it rains, how atmosphere works, how it doesn't work. And now, we're talking about changing people's values so they know that fucking pollute the oxygen, and you get, a part of the fucking world carrying oxygen tanks to survive. I mean, it's not compatible with logic in any way.
Yeah, if you were that alien and you landed on Earth and you had all that information,
right.
One of the key things that you would make sure not to do is to pollute the air, right? that would be like top of the list, pretty much.
It's because we live in a holistic. We don't live in a holistic system. Sorry.
That's
and it's. I was going to say it's one that's being constructed on individuals' goals and individuals' choices, as opposed to what's good for society, really. And that's nothing really to do with human nature, or it's just intrinsic in our system that people are forced into these egotistical goals, I think.
I would say though that you were saying earlier about how our values don't align. That if everyone had the same values to work towards the betterment of mankind, to sum it up, then we would naturally land in a resource-based economy. But I don't agree with that, because I think that in a lot of circumstances, those at the top of the financial ladder actually do genuinely believe that, well, at least that's what they put forward, that they genuinely believe that what they're doing is the best thing for society. This is the only way things can move forward. Maybe they believe it, maybe they don't, maybe on some level they don't believe it, but they do actually think that what they're doing is right, and they do think that
It's good.
We've got people in the financial
It's
system,
open the economy.
scientists. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point. How do you spell it? How do you pronounce your name? Sorry, Sinus.
Keen.
Keenest. Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and thanks for correcting me on that. And I agree.
No problem.
People in financial systems don't have the scientific understanding. So they genuinely do think that more consumption, more money is more stuff, and that's good for the human race. But when it's looked on a scientific basis of like we were talking about engineered obsolescence and stuff like that, then really they're not seeing that on the level of what it can really do to the planet and what it actually really doesn't do for our system. So
yeah, the reduction in the economy. Yeah. They reduced it all down to just being about the economy and the economy on its own, and as long as we have the economy right, then everything's right.
And in their minds, that's what they honest. That's what everyone is sincere. Even if you're lying, sincere to your value set.
Oh, guys, King, by the way, your point is reinforced in if any of you ever heard or watched or read about nonviolent communication and its founder Marshall Rosenberg. He actually documents his findings of a Switzerland. I really hope I don't fuck the name up of the country. This is to the best of my memory, so don't, you know what I mean? Don't judge me. I think he mentioned Switzerland as a measure of how happy the society is. So, like, imagine basically it's like a Western society is the GDP stuff, right? That's how we judge. And so, Kane, by the way, now your point is definitely reinforced because I can kind of see now why the elites would think that it is good, because the charts show that it's good. So therefore, how can it be bad, right? Arrows going up. What are you talking about? But in Switzerland, they literally judge on people's happiness. So obviously, you're going to see a completely different thing. Like you could literally turn out the highest tech product, but if it malfunctioned in some way, and tens of thousands of folks kind of riled up, your arrow would go down, not up. So again, it would be sold, but if not the GDP was measured, but the happiness, all of a sudden you got a completely fucking different chart.
Yeah.
So I think, you got, your argument has quite a lot of weight on it, which obviously doesn't help because then we are dealing with sincerely
misguided people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a point about that just rattles me, and it's the happiness measure, because there's one thing that I've come to decide, and that is that a happiness measure is actually a bullshit measure. I don't know what the study's actually studying. Like, I don't know if it labels it happiness or if it's like community well-being or individual well-being or what. But that's actually what my girlfriend is doing her PhD on, is well-being, and well-being has been always focused around until recently around happiness levels, how happy the society is. But science has also shown that if you, I think we all, or a few of us maybe seen this same video, the guy says if you have a choice between winning the lottery and getting your legs chopped off,
yes, that's a really good one.
Which will make you happier, but at the end of, or after a certain period of time, after either event happens, your happiness levels off, and you have like a constant happiness almost.
No, that's fair enough. All right, so just to clarify exactly what was going on, the specific person, the researcher that Rosenberg was referring to, had, according to Rosenberg, 9 needs that they were following. So the happiness was reflected by the needs that were met, apparently, by the said society.
That's a well-being measure then, I suppose.
Sure.
The thing is, like, all that stuff, like, what happiness is defined by the culture. It's defined by the value set.
Well, yeah.
Because, like 20 years ago, it would make me happy to have a big fancy car. Whatever's fashionable at the time, it would make me happy to have these big lamb chops in the 70s and big fancy swinging,
That would still make me happy, by the way.
I think inequality's got a lot to do with that as well, because obviously the difference in people's living conditions is that people like in poorer conditions look to somebody in a richer condition, and that instantly puts a downers on their life or whatever. There's a good book called Why Inequality is Better for All of Us. I think it's called The Goldfish Bowl or something like that. And that was like measuring happiness against GDP and all of this stuff. And it basically said GDP doesn't matter if you have a more equal society where there's not so many people up in the rafters and so many people down below, then actually happiness is more prevalent in those societies.
That's Wilkinson thesis, right? It's Wilkinson that writes that book. It's it's something of inequality. It's like the handbook of socialists, man. It's true, though. It's science, but it's true. Yeah, the more inequality in all different measures that he took within the system, the lower the level of well-being within that society. Yeah.
You guys are actually speaking about something that's even further explained and even further very well documented by numerous doctors, professors, researchers in a documentary in 2008 called Stress, A Portrait of a Killer. Sapolsky's in it, and actually one of the researchers who I've contacted just today, well, not him directly, it was his secretary, fair enough, Professor Sir Michael Marmot, if I remember. And essentially he's the one who researched in, I'm not sure what the year was, a Whitehall study. Essentially 40 years it took to monitor the health of 28,000 individuals in that specific area of UK. And why that location was so very good, because every single one belongs to a specific hierarchical structure. And it just shows at the end of it, essentially, yeah.
Don't let me distract you.
Sure. Essentially, at the end of it, it just shows that the lower on the hierarchical structure you are, the more stress you have, the more your arteries, your actual heart arteries are clogged with, I can't remember the substance, but it essentially fucks you up. Breathing heavier, all kinds of ulcers occur, and you literally destroy some of the grain, if I remember correctly, the gray cell matter in your brain. Also, I did not know this at all, but apparently your chromosomes can start to fray at the ends the more stressed you are. And there's a specific chemical that actually starts to deplete around that end of the chromosome, which I can't remember, I'm sorry. But, so yeah, your study, what you've said, and as what the book you recommended, everything seems to just sort of, you know what I mean, coincide.
It all coincides, yeah. Well, if you do it on a holistic measure, well, it should, right?
Right.
If it's done on a holistic level, it should coincide.
The thing is with capitalism and that, it's like it's had its, it's had its, not that it was ever a brilliant idea, but like it's you see how it's come about, you can see how it's kind of served a purpose in a way. But with like getting to a stage where we can actually create abundance within the world through technological manners, then really you can say it's communism, you can say it's socialism. To be honest, I don't like to use any of those sort of things and associate with that, because it's still within the ism system. But once you get to that level, it's really incompatible with capitalism. Is just completely incompatible with that kind of a scientific advanced society.
I think Sorry, go on.
Well, did you want to say something specifically about that?
It was just about like when I say to people, look, the monetary system's been used since before the Bible, and we don't use the Bible, and we're not Victorians or Tudors, you know what I mean? We've changed. Like, why is this the one thing that's stuck? And people just don't want to get past that. The money.
Yeah. I'd say here's like a question problem for these like urban gardeners, these skyscraper gardeners, the people on the barge. What are they doing for the people in third world countries that they're taking away their current standard of living? Because if you start installing these vertical towers in the middle of London, you can have a lot of third world countries that lose their export business.
That's a fucking great point. Wow. That's a great point, man.
Yeah, it is true, but I think in a globalized world, that kind of thing is necessary. But I think we need to be moving away from like that kind of.
Well, and what they're exporting like the food that they need to eat. Why don't they just eat it?
Yeah, then they can eat it. Yeah, why not?
Right. No, seriously.
I think the problem lies within the fact that it's within the paradigm of profit, right? Because it's a business, so that's what, and because they don't end up trading part of their business and having to they're not therefore forced to commit some of their money to this other country instead it's being committed somewhere else because it's more financially viable. That's where the issue is. So I think. I actually had an idea of a automated coffee shop. Coffee and simply coffee because coffee's like ridiculously high profit level. That's why coffee shops do so well. But if automating automating the actual coffee stores, so then because the biggest cost is actually labor in those coffee shops, the then actually automate the systems that are growing the coffee beans. So be it that you can grow them locally, or even if you do have to grow them in the environment of Africa or whatever, somewhere else, wherever it is that it's grown, South America. But if you were to do that there and also take away the cost of labour on all scales of it, and then the profit's still there because all the expense is in labour. The profit's still there. So then, if you're doing it as a not for profit, instead donate the money to the communities that you're using their land to farm off and stuff like that. So it's completely possible, but it's just within the paradigm of profit. It's not possible, you know. There's no reason we couldn't.
Yeah, you're talking about stuff. I think with that, like. Yeah, these people would be probably better off if there wasn't these companies that are coming in there to exploit. Essentially, a company comes in to develop something, they're going to be wanting to take money away for, profit, all the shareholders or whatever, the profit to pay the CEO and all of that. All of that it must come down to some sort of resources being taken away from the person in question. So. If you were to actually stop buying that food from them, then the company would have no reason to go in there and really, use these guys in this sort of semi-slavery of the economic system.
Yeah.
The problem I see with let's say like some like African countries, is that basically the West's industrial powers have gone in there and torn down all the rainforests. They've planted loads of, I've forgotten what it, but basically there's no crop diversity anymore. The soil's getting fucked. This is all set up already, and if we just go stop, it's like it's going to be, when, I don't know if this is just because this is how they tell us it, but like when the English Empire kind of broke, we basically just pulled out of Africa and it got fucked because we just left it in a state. It could be the same way in agricultural kind of thing. I think if we build something here, we have to build one there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you mean you mean local food growth versus import, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to pull out the country, like you say, it might end up absolutely fucked. I can't make questions about that. I think really, when we're talking about these ideas of moving forwards, we want to be exporting technology to these people as well. Nationalism really doesn't count.
Maybe do it there first as well. Do it there first and then do it here.
See, so that's the thing, not necessarily. I mean, so if following up on your point, that's essentially everything that Jacques already said, isn't it? I mean, he said that essentially if one country doesn't have the tech personnel, but they definitely have the resources, switcheroo, because the other country, guess what? They got all the tech personnel, no resources, And so,
the problem is, say for some reason, in this really simplified scenario, Ghana produced 100% of England's bananas. And then we install vertical farms. We take all. There is no incentive to help them out at all. If you look at it from a monetary system, it's just we have the money, we have the resources, we have the skills.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about it's the paradigm, right? Because it just depends on which way you're looking at it. There's absolutely no, like just for argument's sake, there's no reason that we couldn't within the paradigm that we're currently, the monetary paradigm that we're currently in, decide that we're going to do a coffee shop to Starbucks scale, automate the whole process, take all the profits, and instead of paying our CEOs millions of dollars, buy a plot of land in Africa that a village is based on, call them employees and pay them to do nothing. There's no reason that couldn't be done. There's no reason the profits couldn't go towards that at the minute. Instead, we're living in a
Buy
profit.
them some earthships.
What's that?
Buy them some earthships.
Sorry, Mick, can't hear you.
Buy them some earthships.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy them some earthships. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or take the profit that the company makes to pay, either have volunteers or pay people to go out and do what was now considered volunteers work in these places. It's just that, like, even within the monetary system, we do still have the capacity to go and do these positive things. But again, it's the profit motive. It's nothing more of a restriction than a motive. It's not even structural, you know.
Yeah, I gotta see. I basically feel I want to do what Starbucks tries to do, but properly. As in, you get a vertical farm in London, you sell half the products, up the price a bit, give them all the mush about you're doing good deeds, all that kind of stuff. The other half of the food goes straight to charity, goes to homeless shelters, all that kind of stuff. Any profits go to maintaining the building, but you automate as much as possible, so profits go to building overseas, and you build one over there, and you start getting people. Yeah, in London you might pay £5 for something, but you know that there's one over in Africa that's giving things away for free and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When it comes to water, I had a bit of a question. Using water filtration and rain collection, etc., you could try and produce water more locally. But what happens on like really hot days? Like, is there anything for stopping water evaporation? Does anybody know anything about that?
A towel, some shade.
Oh yeah.
No, but seriously, you guys must have seen the picture where they're put in, I think it was India, they're putting solar panels over canals, so they shade.
Good idea.
Well done, I just forgot about it.
I had an idea, put the water in your house and then get the pipe through the window.
See, I'm still curious though. Look, I mean, all we're talking about is obviously this possible positive, I don't know, alternatives to what right now exists. However, what I'm curious about is, I can't stop myself from remembering what Jacques remarked about the World War II and how all these plane factories were turning out planes, by the thousands, and it was great, and everybody made a lot of money. But the war is over. Who are you going to sell the plane factories to? Like, they're worthless. That's it. You know what I mean? And they bankrupt anyway because the fucking tax goes through the roof. So I'm not thinking, all right, well, let's put ourselves in the shoes then of these businesses, which are trying to apply themselves and to sort of renovate themselves with all this new hip, move. Yes, we're helping the planet, all that shit. And you know what? For the sake of argument, let's even say that they're doing it, right? They're literally applying their new business models to these new, I don't know, whatever, hydrologically powered cars and toilet. Now, for the sake of Tom's example also, yeah, you piss in the toilet and all of a sudden it's filtrated, it's all from gray water anyway, and it's all flushed with the shit water, but it still gets filtrated, you can drink it from the tap and everything is great. what happens with the pre-installed stuff? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna lose so much fucking money. So my question is still, these people who are now trying to innovate, trying to do these things, the vertical farms, the filtration systems, or like that little vapor sort of gathering condenser in the office, you know, just extracts from atmosphere and produces pure water. I mean, these people who are going to benefit, they're in direct competition with some of the biggest fucking assholes on the face of the earth, including Nestle, who wanted to fucking privatize water, okay? Water of planet Earth. So, I mean, we're in these odds. So, how is it going to play out? Why would they do that? You know what I mean? Like, isn't it then still sensible for these giants to just continue on the same road? And yeah, they are going to bleed the planet, but just by the very structure of exactly how Kane suggested, the very structure of the paradigm. They have no fucking choice. Like, there's so much cost now involved in this platform that they built up that to sort of back out of it is just gonna fucking incur a massive loss.
Yeah, it's the same with the oil industry and why they don't want to go down the alternative routes, because obviously they've got the infrastructure there already, coal, gas, so why change it? Why not just improve it? But really, you know, it's economics, like you were saying earlier, it's a short-term thing, not a long-term thing. People just see, okay, next year I'm going to get a good bonus because I made this much profit. So I think that's a matter of shifting people's viewpoints from what is sustainable and people learning about that, and then two, recognizing that these people are assholes, right? Like that, like, you know, they are. They need to be told so. You know, like just like any bully in any playground, they need to be taught the proper way to deal with yourself in society, and that's what we do.
I think that I myself am apolitical. Not that I don't care about politics. I just don't vote. I don't choose to take part in it. I follow it. I like to know what's going on socially, but I think that something we can be pretty sure of is that government has a massive impact on our social values. And the biggest example of that is, of course, the Thatcher and her era, and how that is basically everything that we're talking about now, the paradigm that we're talking about now, has turned into this directly as a result of government impact. And that in itself has focused or impacted the way we on an individual level see and try to move forward. So there is always the room that, even though I'm not going to vote, I don't know about you, but that something will happen politically to cause a paradigm shift, as a slight, very, very slight problem with it, as long as we stick to the same structures, monetary structures in the first instance. Yeah, so you're asking, like, how's it going to play out, Lydia? So I'm just thinking that is always a possibility, but although a slow process if it was to happen, because we're only feeling the real effects of Thatcher era now, really.
Right.
I'm thinking as well, like, I think in places, businesses, some of them, seeing that people want more ethical business, like, I mean, I refused some energy the other day because I just said, well, you're not any more renewable than the next guy, so I'm not going with it. But things like Formula E, and has anybody heard of TT0 for the Isle of Man?
Yeah, formula which runs on electric energy, isn't it?
Yeah. That starts this year in September, and then the Isle of Man Zero TT, I think that's been going since 2013. And there's I put a link in the chat box, cleantech.com. When I was watching the thing about the Isle of Man TT zero carbon emissions and composition, these guys were talking about trying to sell clean technology that's sustainable, and I think if people start understanding the problems of like climate change, etc., and stop buying into things that like things we don't need, start buying into things that we do need, then maybe business or capitalism might change. And I don't know, I can't see it, but it'd be nice if even a little bit like this clean tech, etc., became like, I don't know, the next fashion trend to be sustainable.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about social sort of like so self-replicating culture, really, isn't it? The culture still grows and it self-replicates itself. Or obviously there's that's green economics as well, which is well, obviously the people that are thinking within the monetary system, trying to make it so that you can make money out of saving the planet and stuff like that. Which is an interesting one, you know. I mean, it could work, but to be honest with you, it doesn't sound like it'd be moving as quickly as we need to.
They definitely have a plan, though. they definitely have some level of game plan as to where the economy goes after oil, like, for sure.
Well, yeah. It's the fucking UKIP kids, and then I'm out of this country. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll need to see you off them, man, because I think they're going to.
Wouldn't that be fucking ironic? Same continent, can't even get along.
Yeah, like how are we going to fix the world? We can't.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty fucking shocking, really.
I think, you know, the way that the world is, though, obviously, like, there's vested interests in what you have to do, so they're going to get, you know, they're in the mainstream media all the time, you know, all these ideas. You know, you haven't heard a thing about the Green Party, have you?
No.
Where's the Green Party? Yeah, like...
I mean, I voted Green Party, even though I didn't vote for the local general elections. But like you say, I've not heard a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I used to vote, and I voted, like, lived on the first time and Green for the second time or whatever. But, like, you'll never see anything about the Green Party. It's because these people that have the vested interest in that are more willing to push you towards fascism than they are willing to push you towards a holistic worldview of the world and entertaining people and participating. It's easy, especially in, like, you know, if you look at what happened during the Second World War with Hitler's rise and stuff like that. It's really easy to point a finger and just say, "Oh, bad economic times. Oh, that guy did it." You know, it's definitely not the rich bloke that did it. You know, he's giving you a job. What are you on about? Whereas it's easy enough to just point the finger at the enemy or the outsider, make that dehumanize that, and then you can do what you want. Why help the people of the world when you can just kill them?
That's something like some of my friends, and like listen to Spolsky again, he talks about displaced aggression, that it's more likely for the poor people to attack the poor than it is for them to attack the rich. And that's exactly like some of the people I know where they'll say things like, "Oh, we can't have ham sandwiches, so I'm going to kill a Muslim." And I think, what? You know what I mean? Like, get a grip. Like, it's a business decision. You know what I mean? And nobody ever thinks about. They don't use their brains. They just react in like to some bad news about a ham sandwich.
It's true though. Yeah, no, seriously. You're talking about the subway story, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's not surprising, isn't it? I mean, like right now, I don't know. Look, I don't know if this is any consolation or any correlation to what we're talking about. Today, there's an event starting, at least from today. In America, it's called E3, Electronic sort of some shit expo. And there's all these giants, and Sony and Microsoft are talking about the latest products and the games. Honestly, every single fucking trailer I've seen so far is about how much fucking polygons can you squeeze into an explosion of a fucking skull of a human. And it's just like, is it surprising then that, you know what I mean? The fucking kids that play this, by the way, are not certified, as it says on the package, 18. They're fucking 12-year-olds who scream that you're a faggot on the fucking other end of the microphone. And then, you know what I mean? And then they grow up, they shoot up a fucking school because their daddy didn't stroke their dick too much or too little or whatever it is. And then, you know, yeah, they grow up to be whoever, Donald Trump or some other fucking asshole who just thinks, you know, survival of the fittest, which wasn't even uttered by Darwin. It was some other fucking asshole who decided to use Darwin's natural selection and put it forward to humans. Oh, if there were less poor, the world would be better. Fucking hell, man. I don't know, I'm just fucking spouting hatred at the moment, not really too much construction.
It's something that I was chatting to you about on Facebook the other day. Actually, it is about how the people who define the way we should run our economy and the way that we should strive to move forward in society. So basically, the people that fucking designed our social constructs are fucking psychopaths. Like literally diagnosed schizophrenics, sexually inept people. Chris Nash and Anne Rind are the two main examples. They're both literally schizophrenic psychopaths, socially inept, and they have designed game theory. Anne Rind is the biggest influencer in the Silicon Valley. It's like about 50 years after her time. She basically spoke about life structures, about how you structure your life and try to get ahead in life, and about how it's all about individualism and what logical thinking. What she describes as logical thinking is not logical thinking. It's a very reductionist form of logical thinking, individualism. But these people, and Chris Nash, he had the theory that every individual operates in game theory, and that is that we are always looking for the best possible outcomes for ourselves over someone else, and that this then should be used to dictate everything in our society. It should dictate our nuclear war strategy, which game theory inevitably brought us to a point that everybody's just as potentially detrimental to each other, so nobody will do anything. It also defined the economy as to how it should move forward using game theory.
Alan Greenspan, yeah.
So this guy walked around on a day-to-day basis, analysing what people's game theory was in any given situation. He thought that everybody in every social interaction was doing this. Everybody was trying to get a level up, and not long after, or even while he was a respected, or he still is rather, so he definitely still is a respected theorist. But this is our thing. This is nothing more than theory. He was diagnosed as a schizophrenic psychopath. But his readings are the Bible today. His theories are the Bible, and theories are nothing but ideas.
No, sorry, I have to interrupt you there, Kane. If anything, so far that I at least, fair enough, I did withdraw from the science course, but something I did learn is theory is not an idea. Theory is way past all the hypothesis and testing, and only then is arrived as a theory. Hypothesis is what you're talking about. That's the idea.
Okay, it was tested. It was tested. Yeah, the science is very questionable, and it's not repeatable. But but it was tested.
Interesting.
Well, game theory is all about these hypothetical games, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. It's based on an assumed hypothetical.
And interestingly, Nick Yona, he talked. Sapolsky in the behavioral lecture goes on to talk a little bit about game theory, about how forgiving tit for tat is the best.
Yeah.
Because that's a form of altruism, that tit for tat.
Interesting.
right.
Oh god, I've got to go, and someone else has just turned up. So, hello, new person. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Sorry, everyone.